kids, welcome to Slayerfest 98. This is Dayspring with a raspy voice.
I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
I'm Colin Smith.
And I'm Brett White, and we are here today to talk about Angel Season 3, Episode 10, Dad.
Here to talk dad with a bunch of dads.
Dad.
Ew, rude. Although I love being called daddy now, in my older age.
Am I a zaddy? What's the difference?
I mean, I'm the oldest one here, so I'm granddad.
But
I
have fucking gray hair, so oh boy, whatever. Jesus Christ!
I found my first gray at 20.
Genetics.
So,
Really?
16. So it's like whatever.
My brother went like fully bald, like I think by like 21. My brother was like bald. So at least I'm not both of I mean, I do get the grays. I just, we cover up.
I'm sorry,
No,
Ian, you're still a twink.
I'm too
Wait, can I ask you guys a question, though? I'm sorry, I'm going to veer off here. Do you like being called daddy now? Because I love being called daddy.
I'm never in social context where anyone would have a reason to call me daddy. I don't see people. I don't go out. Not by choice.
I feel like the only one who's like uses that with me is Colin. And I do like it
a lot.
I mean,
I feel like
Colin's a daddy.
Colin is one of those people that says he's not hot, but is hot. We're talking about you
Super
like you're not
hot.
here. We're doing what
That's
our
fine.
moms
I'll
do.
just sign out and you guys can continue.
I have been called daddy once, and I will say I did like it. I didn't think I would, but I did like it.
On Power of X-Men, all these 20-something Krakoan readers are just like, daddy to me, and I'm like, yes, I love it. I happily love aging.
It feels like
that? That's where I'm trying to go with it.
That could be subpoenaed. That's where I'm like, okay, let's
I noticed that I do use it literally. I'll use it like on people, like my friend that I saw long legs with last night is a literal dad. So I will say it to mean like, you're a dad. Like I do that with my one trainer is a dad, and I'll be like, all right, dad. And I do use it to mean like literally the way you use it. But I realized because I'm gay, just saying it kind of makes it sound like I'm saying it the other way. I don't know. Anyway, what did we think revisiting this episode? There was a ton of shit I'd already forgotten, even though we've been recording these all like pretty much at the same time. Colin, what'd you think revisiting this episode?
I liked this one, actually. It was good. It's definitely a slower episode from the last couple.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah. Brett?
I mean, they're fine. I mean, we're marching along in the plot. I mean, this is introducing a lot of elements that I remember being like not liking as a viewer in 2000 or whatever it was. Like Justine. I'm like, do we need Justine? I don't know what are we doing here. We'll get into the whole like, I don't know how in the world in early internet days he found a martial arts trained twin of someone who was killed by a vampire months. Okay, sure, Holtz.
Because he looked up obituaries.
Yeah, like it's like survived by martial arts trained twin sister Justine. So like some of the stuff, there's a lot of Wolfram and Hart in this. I think we discussed last time that this version of Wolfram and Hart is mid a little bit. Like what's her face? It's Stephanie Romanov. Lila, Jesus fucking Christ. Lila is the only person who's actually good. Who's actually good.
You know who we need more of though, and we'll get there. Files and records.
Yes, I
agree. You mean the progressive lady?
The Flo.
I want her to have her own webisodes. Well, we didn't have that in 2000, and then like whatever.
Oh my God, I feel like if this were 5 years later, she would have gotten web, right? Like 2008, she probably would have had webisodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Battlestar Lost Era.
Yeah, Dayspring, what did you think of the episode?
So I love Connor. I love the character of Connor. So I love the groundwork they're doing here with Holt. I had the biggest crush on Vincent. I say Cartisher. Is that how you say his name?
I think it's Cartisher.
I don't know.
I did too back in the day. We've talked about this. I did too.
I have a Florida education, okay? So, but
honestly, if I was going to fan cast Nate Gray as someone, I would maybe go with Vincent Cartiser.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brett, the fucking read right there. I love season 4 quite a bit, and I think we are setting up season 4. And I know season 4 is very controversial. I'm ready to come on this podcast and defend it when we get there. But I like this. I think it is a slower burn, but I think whether it plays out well or not, there's payoff for what the seeds they plant in these episodes. And yes. I love Lila. Lila's one of my favorite characters as well.
Like, if it weren't for her, Wolfram and Hart would pretty much suck. Like, I feel like she's carrying all of Wolfram and Hart on her back. And
oh, absolutely.
We said this before in an earlier episode. I just don't know why they just didn't make her the head of Wolfram and Hart or that branch.
Or it's wild that, like, they got rid of Lindsay and Holland Manners, who were epic icons, both. We love both of them. And it is wild that they just recast them with bland people, because I would say that the Buffy and Angel verses are very, very good at casting.
Yes,
because there's so many people that start as like one-off guests that become series regulars because they're so good at finding. So the fact that they just like couldn't find people that were, and they found Daniel Day Kim, and for some reason he's boring.
Yes, and he's so
boring.
So wild.
I think his character is written to be boring though. Like, he's attacking Angel with red tape,
which is like,
no one cares.
I consistently, I'm like, I don't know why they didn't make Wolfram and Hart an ensemble. And I get, like, I even like the idea of, like, some of them, the boss can die, Lindsay can leave, but like, we need to then keep up with the fact that we have these empty slots of dynamic characters and like fill them with dynamic, not like generic old white guy who doesn't really do anything different than any of the other old white guys that have been boss.
Can I ask a question, Ian? Have you dug into why didn't Stephanie Romanov, as I understand last name, why didn't she ever come back after season 4? I mean, it seemed like they set her up to be the liaison. And then we got Eve.
I feel like I want to have her on the podcast and specifically ask her that, because I really do not understand why that, because they really do set it up like, yeah, she's dead, but she says her contract can't be revoked, and like Wesley tries to burn it, and she's like,
Standard perpetuity clause.
Yeah, like that's one that about as a contract, Dayspring. I feel like
I know. Well, I wanted to be Lila. Can I just say this? I wanted to be Lila when I was like 17. And so I would do that standard perpetuity clause, like talking to no one in my room, like in my underwear. Like, I was like obsessed with Lila.
I do think, and Colin, I know you agree with this, that Lila is like one of the maybe most underrated like Buffyverse characters.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, she's fucking fantastic. Great. Yeah, and she doesn't get brought up like nearly enough in like the conversation of iconic.
I mean, I figure she's like in the holy trinity of like Cordy, Glory, and Lila, right? Like,
yeah. Listen, I'm right
maybe
there with
Anya as well. Like, but
and she always looks great. Like, I feel like she's always styled pretty like consistently like it really like the Law and Order, but like a little bit more stylish look is like how they style her. And I feel like her hair always looks great. She's got that good jawline. She looks great.
The scene between her and Cordy and Billy, I mean, that was chef's kiss. Amazing. We know she likes Jimmy Choo's, and the current season, not last season. So I'm obsessed with them. Sorry.
Me and you, Dayspring. So we open on where we left kind of last episode. The gang has just gotten back to the hotel. They're kind of seeing the damage from the fight that was had at the hotel. I do like that Wesley's like, and some bastard blew a hole through the elevator doors, and Angel says bastard me. Like, I was like, is this a baby joke? No, it's not. He's just saying he's the bastard.
No,
Lauren comes to live in the hotel because
they got so many fucking rooms they need to fill. Jesus.
I mean, he could have like 2 floors to himself at this point. Also,
who's living there? There?
I don't know.
Cordy definitely has her own place because she has Dennis.
Yeah.
And I know I said this when I was on, I think maybe start of the season when we were talking about this same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if Wesley is staying in the hotel at the moment, but he definitely has his own place.
Yeah.
Like in last season and at least by the end of this season. So I don't know if he just kept his place or...
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, think of Justine. He will have his own place. Think of what's
Yeah.
going to pan out with Justine. So he
Yeah.
definitely
Oh
has his
God,
thing.
yeah, Jesus. Oh, this entire storyline is bad. I don't like this storyline.
You know,
Brett, I do agree with you. Justine is really bad casting. And when you think of
Yeah.
Buffy and Angel, as compared to like Charmed, right? Like every guest star on Charmed, you're like, oh, that's kind of mediocre. Like very few stuck. Like they were so good with casting. What the fuck, Justine? Can we get Justine on and ask like, what the fuck? Why did you get cast?
how dare you?
Take an acting class, Justine. Sorry.
But also,
my God,
they
I'm
like
so
gave
sorry.
her nothing. They gave her nothing.
That's
like
true.
that character is like paper
So-
thin.
I mean, since
Yeah.
we're talking about her already, even though she's not yet in the episode.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be Kate, though, right? That was
Yes.
supposed to be brought back.
And I'm wondering how last minute that change was made.
Justice for Kate.
Yeah, like that was
Oh
supposed
my
to be
God.
Kate's storyline, but that actress was on Law and Order and
Law and
couldn't
Order,
come
yeah.
back for it.
That would be great. See,
my
now
God.
all of a sudden I've
Colin.
turned around.
I know. Colin Zaddy, thank you. Thank you for
feel-
delivering the man
Dayspring, I feel like that's not unlike what Julie Benz told us, right? How they didn't want to up her
Yeah,
contract. And she was like, I got
Yeah.
cast as a main character on a show. I wasn't going to like drop it to go film this. And then they wouldn't pay her more to do that. So
Mhm.
that's
And-
why
and
her
what
season
you and
2
I-
story ends.
At 16, 17 wouldn't understand. They need that paycheck. They need that next gig. And like they're not upping her contract. She's got to take the next opportunity. Get that Law and Order money, Kate.
Right? Yeah, like I'm sure that money's a lot better than like reoccurring side angel character money.
Yeah. And it's
I
not,
mean-
I don't really think she was probably attached to the character of Kate.
Yeah. I would not.
But that would be great because I honestly think that like Kate is one of the like few. I mean, it's a dangling plot thread. It's not a fun one, not a good one,
Right.
but it is a dangling plot thread.
The most I liked her was actually her last episode when she does have that talk with Angel. I was like, okay, this is the like only moment of hers where I like her, which like, okay, sure, we go out on a high note, but it is weird. Like she seems like a character that should have popped up, but because she's so important or so we see her so often. Summer Bishop even said this in season 1 that actress stunk of she got a 12 episode contract and that's why she's in so many episodes because like there's episodes where there's no need for Kate to be there and Angel just like goes to get cop advice and it's not helpful at all and they leave and they're mad at each other. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if this were Kate, but I do wonder what would have changed because I don't think Kate would have been the one in Wesley's fucking closet, right? Like can't imagine them doing that with Kate, but I could see her
Kate would
being
have
like,
Wesley in the closet.
yeah, let's be real. But I could see her getting recruited as like, ooh, remember that vampire you knew? He might go evil and murder a baby, and her like fully being like, okay, let's go with her.
And
like,
that also,
Bravo
like, it's
boyfriend.
so much easier for Holtz to find someone who already has a specific grudge against Angel
Yes.
and not just vampires
And-
in general.
Because that would have been in her father's obituary when he looked it up.
Yes, it's like,
So we'll talk about the Justine intro, but I also have some issues with like the way it's played out. The baby has a scratch on it. I don't love this is baby crazy Angel. I get that it's like he's suddenly thrust into being a dad, so maybe he's like weird about it.
It's a real thing, though. When
It
my
is.
cousin had their first kid, you weren't allowed to touch him unless you like scrubbed your hands for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They were
I've had
weird.
people.
I had the same thing same thing with my cousins. And even I had a family reunion a couple weekends ago. It's like, you can't get near the baby. You know, and it's like, okay, I don't want to get near the baby. But yeah, people are very weird.
I guess I think what is kind of weird is when Angel gets like goofy around the baby. I buy like Angel protective, like no one fucking touches baby except for me because first of all, born of 2 vampires, also born in an alley, which is probably a horrible place to give birth to a baby.
I would imagine.
Just and then also just like the list of enemies, which I do think is a really fun running gag of the episode of just the whiteboard of like, you know, these people want to like take the baby, these people want to kill the baby, these people want to eat the baby, and then there's Frank.
And there's Frank.
I wish we would have saw Frank. That's a great recurring joke. Gunn should have looked out the window and said, "Oh, and Frank's here."
And Frank's it. I always thought he was going to say that when he was like, "Oh, like there's this old biker gang I knew from my like street days."
Yeah.
To then be like,
And
"Oh,
Frank.
and Frank is with them."
What up, Frank?
To pull on the thread, Ian, that you were saying about Angel being a bit more like comedic with the baby, I believe this was a season that David Greenwalt said that we were going to be seeing Angel as more of an action hero. Whereas like the previous seasons, it was a bit darker, a little bit more, heavy. They wanted to lighten up the mood this season. I do remember that interview, whether it was David Greenwald or someone else. I think that was the goal for 3.
So this episode gave me flashbacks of the part that I don't like of season 2. Even though I love the Darla and Drusilla arc, like I love their arc, I think it should have been the rest of the season. I hate the Angel going dark and like firing everybody and being like a total like asshole to all of them. I hate that. And this episode did that, but then it showed us that was an act, which I appreciated because I forgot. I don't remember these episodes as well. And I was like, I fucking hate this. How dare he like sacrifice his friends' lives to save a stupid fucking baby that was just born? Why is it more important than Cordelia? Because it is not.
You don't even know this baby.
The fuck is that baby?
The baby doesn't even go here.
The baby's so needy. It's just crying all the time. Because it's ugly.
I very much found myself getting mad about that. And then I was so glad at the end when it was like, oh no, that was part of their plan. Also, where the fuck did they get a bomb?
Hey, gun.
I mean,
that's where,
it's fine.
But can I tell you something that I did like, though? I like kind of seeing Cordy and Angel in that moment. And I do not ship Cordy and Angel as a relationship.
Oh, but I do.
In this episode, in particular, I see their bond. And it's the way Charisma and David play off of each other. It is acting so good. Good.
Right, you feel like even if there's not a romance, these are two people that have like very much like respect each other and like
have at least 5 years of history of like intense history together.
And it almost feels like they're the mom and dad of Angel investigations.
Yes.
Where it's like he's kind of being shitty to Fred, to Gunn, to Wesley, and Cordelia's like, come outside with me because we need to have a talk. Like it's kind of
let
like,
me just show you the facts of like
fully into the sun.
Just taking them out the door.
Okay, wait. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but there are 2 things I love in life: David Boreanaz and bacon. So when like Lauren was like, "What smells like bacon?" I'm like, yeah. Sorry.
But so we get Angel's like not letting anyone touch the baby. The baby's crying, and I gotta say, I was watching this while eating lunch, and I like had to keep turning my volume down.
It was
I can't. There's too much crying baby. I can't hear more of this.
And imagine if you were a parent.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm not.
So think
Colin?
next time.
I was going to say, since you were, volume up and down because of the baby crying, we get that scene at Wolfram and Hart where they're watching the monitors, and he's like, turn the volume up for a second, then it's just the crying. He's like, no, volume down.
Yes.
Can we talk about what's his name, the new head of Wolfram and Hart? He's here like, oh, I love my children until the senior partners took them away. I was like, oh my god, that was like a little throwaway line I don't remember in my original watching of this.
Well, and it plays in with the translator guy what Lila was like, we will kill your children by 7 a.m. if you don't have this. Translated. This is just like what we do.
That's really good. Yeah.
She says it in passing, like very like, that's the thing we do. We kill your family. Yeah.
You have to wonder, what did he not do well?
Right?
Did he like forget to file something?
Yeah.
And then
I feel like instead of a write-up, you get your family murdered, but you still get the job. You're not fired yet. It's just, they just kill your family.
It could have been for just like a straight up promotion that he's like, here, take my firstborn, and now I'm the head of.
That's also true. I could see that. Again, what are those babies doing?
That explains how you get ahead.
They're not paying the bills, so
exactly.
Yeah, that baby's like really selfish.
If you think about it, the baby's problematic.
Rude. He has a career too.
Oh, isn't it funny that when Cordelia's holding Connor, it's like, oh, they have sex eventually.
I know. Oh,
Is
I
it
hate
funny
it.
though?
Just had to bring it up.
Is it Cordy? No, that's Jasmine possessing her. I don't know.
Also, justice for Gina Torres on this show.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I also was obsessed with Gina Torres when she was the woman. We'll get into this season 4, but on campus, I actually printed out photos of Gina Torres and put it all around our common area in our dorm. And it was like, the woman, come hear her speak. Like, I was obsessed with that character.
I mean, in terms of casting, like, you want a cult leader, absolutely.
Now,
Gina Torres is just charismatic beyond charismatic.
Posters real quick, then we'll get back to the episode. On all these posters you put up, did you have like a date and time? Did people show up, or was it just like...
I did not put a date and time. I left it so nebulous, and it was just Gina Torres's like press photo there. And I was just so obsessed with her, how charismatic she was. You're right. If you're going to cast a cult leader, she was perfect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That is where like the casting is good. It's just I just hate that storyline.
That was also the season of Joss being like, "Oh, Firefly's canceled. Let me just throw all the actors."
Every actor's into.
So it's kind of like, which Firefly actor would you like to see as Justine?
I think Jewel Sate would have. Is that her last name? Sate?
Yeah.
I think she would have made her a little bit
interesting.
More
it made character a lot more interesting.
Like I feel like she might have played it a little Fred-like. And so it would have been like, okay, well, at least this like fighter person has like a personality other than just like, I'm tough.
Secondhand faith.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something about Jewel State? My husband dated this girl, Pamela Christina from Space Cases.
Oh,
and of course, Jewel was on it.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband. Yeah. And apparently they did not get along on set. And I was like, what? Because I like Jewel quite a bit, but you know,
she's also
Nickelodeon days.
In the other show Colin and I love, she's in The Magician. She's like a random reoccurring character.
Have you had her on the podcast?
No. But if your husband wants to put me in touch, I will take the contact. So what? God, where the hell are we now?
Angel's still not letting anyone touch the baby, and it's crying all the time.
It's crying. So Holtz and Sajan are having a discussion. Holtz is not happy that he did not know Darla was pregnant. Sajan kind of says it shouldn't make much of a difference.
And then Holt says what we're all thinking. Get rid of these Power Rangers looking fucking monsters. Although I do love that they're all eating fast food. Like that is a really good touch. But like the costumes are so bad.
So bad. It's like cartoony because the arms are so like big and clunky, but they're clearly not.
Their necks can't move. It's
yeah. But I feel like that is not uncommon for the demons on these shows.
No.
I feel like especially for like one-off demons, it very much is open the props closet. What the fuck do we have? Mush it together, and there's.
What is wild though is the whatever the chanty cloak demons later on is only in it for like 2 seconds, but that weird creepy mask face was like, oh, that looks amazing, and then these grunts. Who are in a lot.
Yeah.
They're in a lot of the episodes. And they look horrible, but I don't know.
But I feel like you're right. They were like, well, budgetary reasons, we got to get rid of those demons. So let's just have Holtz recruit humans. He poisons all of them. The thing that this season does well, but it still doesn't really help me like the character. Holtz at least is like, has reason to hate Angel this much. Like he does have every right and every reason to be like, no, I'm holding this grudge forever. I don't care if he decided he's good now. He still fucking ate my family. So it's like, all right, at least I get it. And like, I also would hold that grudge forever, probably, no matter what. But I just don't like Holtz. Like, I don't think for me, the Holtz scenes, Sajan is a lot more fun to watch than Holtz. And I feel like they should have played more into that dynamic because Sajan is almost not anywhere near as dynamic or fun, but he's like a Glory where it's like, he's like this old demon who like knows all the like old lore shit, but also is like smoking a cigarette and annoyed and talking in slang. So I like when these shows do that. I don't know, Sajan doesn't like get quite enough time and Holtz gets a lot. And Holtz is just like so serious and so, and then he recruits someone who's also so serious. And
she should be making the funniest part of their whole interactions, to jump ahead again, is like when she makes, I can't remember what reference she makes, but he's like, you'll find your pop culture references will fall on deaf ears or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's a funny game.
Yes.
Like imagine if it was like a Buffy type, always quipping and him just being like, what are you?
Yeah.
They could have played definitely a lot more with his like fish out of water. I don't understand anything of this world except revenge.
No, and like to your point, at the very end of the scene when he's like, that box will give you information, right? And it's a fucking desktop computer, and he's like, yeah. I do like that shit. You're right. If they had played that up more, because I get it, right? Holtz is like a serious guy, but they needed to have dynamic things going around. I don't know, like
there are funny. Like,
do you think
you surround him with funny characters, and then you make him funny by being the straight man,
right?
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you think it's the limitation of the actor? Because I'm now thinking about it. I'm looking at his IMDb, and I don't know if it was something with his approach to Holtz, because it is a good character. There's no reason to not. I don't want to say root for this character, but not really bond with that character. And I agree. There is a weird, and I like him, but there is this weird distance with him. And I don't know if it's. I'm going to say this. I don't know if it's the writing. I think it's approach.
Yeah, I can see that. He feels like he's on a different show. It feels like we're watching a boring period piece, which I guess, hey, he is a boring period.
Well, him and Justine, when they're together, I actually I did kind of check out. And Brett, it wasn't until you mentioned the thing about casting and how Buffy casting directors are really good at this. And I think they kind of missed. And I don't want to say something about actors who are working in the early aughts, especially post Y2K, but like,
it does feel like
there's something there.
All of a sudden, we're tuning into like a '90s USA crime drama.
yeah, and like I don't like that shit.
Like TNT, USA to TNT.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay, let's
get
like
the braid tone.
Yeah, I mean, we'll breeze through all of Holtz then. So Holtz gets Justine. I don't like any of the Holtz and Justine stuff, because I don't know what we're doing. It feels like they're trying to do a parallel between like Buffy and a Watcher, or like Faith meeting a Watcher, but it's just not there. And I don't like the parallels feel very like Watcher approaching his Slayer and telling her that she can fight. And then she tries to fight and he shows that he can fight. And like, he takes her out to slay a vampire. And like,
I will, and I don't know if this is just my thing, but like after she slays the vampire or whatever, and he like makes the pitch, and it's like night and it's like dark, and he like gets like up in her face and is just like you will fight and I will blah blah. And I was just like, oh my god, like I was like, oh, this is getting steamy a little bit. And so I was like, oh, there's also that. Like maybe they could like but that's also just me finding older men in positions of power attractive.
Listen, you like what you like, Brett. Nothing wrong with
I mean, listen, I got that problem too, buddy.
God.
But then I was like, what does Holtz smell like?
Oof. I feel
like hanging out with demons all day, also from another century, wearing that same cloak.
He's wearing the same clothing. Yeah. He definitely had showered since he got back.
Yeah, I bet that stink would stink. It'd be like,
and he's like living in some crypt with Sajan.
Sajan, right?
Like
Sajan doesn't smell anything. Yeah.
Sajan's little spoon.
If I were still naming the episode, when we did Buffy at first, I used to always like name them something. That would have been the title of this episode if I was still doing that. Sajan's little spoon. So yeah, Holtz, he gets Justine. They go to slay a vampire. Her thing is, I also like. I don't love a twin plot, and it's so weird that it's like an off-screen twin plot where it's like, here's a flyer, your dead twin. Because when he picked up that flyer, I was like, that looks like her. And then he says it's her twin. And I was like,
why?
I do wonder if they, like we said, it's supposed to be Kate's plot and have her come back. Which would
and actually saying that makes sense, that he would be like, look, I know your dad was killed by a vampire.
Yeah. I'm wondering at what point did they plot this out, know that they couldn't get Kate, so okay, we'll need to add a new character. Why they couldn't have, in an earlier episode, had us see this actress get murdered by a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Instead of
I think Justine should have just
been there. It was probably on the fly.
I really think Justine should have been there with Holtz. Like, we didn't need him to have demon minions that he then has to kill. Like, I feel like just have him have this group of people, have him recruited them the moment he needs to recruit, like, people. It just would have been like streamlined that storytelling, because for me the biggest part of this arc, the like, and I mean biggest as in like most cinematic, like memorable, is him slowly walking through Caritas while it's on fire and Darla's like in labor in the alley. And if it had been like Justine and them standing around instead of the demons, I don't know, at least it's like, well, she was even there for that. But like she comes in after and like, yeah, I don't know.
I could not get past the logistics of how the fuck he found her. And her
like
being like
that
a
you.
faith level, like not like above you faith, like, but like she's fighting. She knows how to fight. And honestly, it would have been made more sense if after murdering all the demons, he's walking back home and he literally just like walks through a graveyard and there she is fighting vampires. And then it's like, oh, that would make way more sense
and
than him searching for Obituary. Like, that's the longest.
I did appreciate, though, when they turned on the computer that it was up for demons, the demon Google.
I love it. The Buffy figures that they released, all the angel ones that have some of them have little laptops, that's on the screen, the demons. And I'm always like charmed by that.
I love that.
I keep trying to, anytime I have to use a computer, I'm like, can I have this face the camera so I can show that the demons is on there? But usually not. But actually, all of you saying, I wonder when they changed it, reminds me of in Conversations with Dead People. We all know that was supposed to be Tara talking to Willow, right?
Yep.
And that Amber Benson, she even said on Slayerfest that she turned it down. I didn't realize, in my brain, TV shows are not unlike the way I plan Slayerfest, where it's like, sometimes this is in advance, but sometimes it's like a day before that we change it. Because the costume designer from season 7, when he came on for every episode, do a little outro. He had the shooting script and it still had Tara in it. And it was dated like 3 days before filming. So like they changed that clearly super last minute. So I'm wondering if it was the same kind of thing with this, where like they planned it as Kate and then like week of it was like, oh fuck. Like,
who can we get to audition today?
Yeah.
It's funny. I have a lot of friends who are working actors, and it's exactly that. They get booked 2-3 days for what shoots here in the city, Law and Order, and they're like, "Great, I got that Law and Order gig." But Amber Benson, I haven't listened to that interview yet, Ian. But Amber Benson at the time did say she wanted Tara to be more pure. She didn't want to come back as evil. I wonder if it's. Remember with what happened with Charisma that she didn't know Cordelia was going to die. And even after, the fact, it was like, they pulled a fast one on me. I wonder if Amber was able to catch in time where she was like, actually, I don't like the script.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
She did say that because she didn't want Tara going out, like her last appearance being her evil, which is like very sweet. But also like,
and a lot of foresight, though.
Yeah, honestly.
I think when it comes to these last minute add-ons, especially with like Justine and stuff, I agree. You would think that they could plant the seeds a little bit better. Or why go through this unnecessary, convoluted, she had a twin, everything, because I agree with you, Brett. Would have been so easy. Just walk on by the LA cemetery. Or where did Lila order Chinese from? Like China Palace, whatever she said. Like he just runs into her there. Like I would have. I actually want Chinese food now that Lila said that. I still want to be Lila, even when I'm a 40-year-old. I'm probably older than Lila now, and I'm still not her.
God, we probably are. The thing I was going to say is, to your point, Dayspring, they do call you. You're right. Like when I was in grad school, I applied to be like an extra because I'm not an actor, but I was like, I'll be an extra. Sure, that's easy money. They would call me the day of almost every time. They'd be like, can you do like, I got called to be a dead body on Law and Order, which would have meant I was SAG eligible, which is hilarious, but I couldn't do it because I had a fucking, like that day, my final paper for grad school for my like one class was due. And I was like, I don't think my professor will accept. I got a gig on Law and Order. I'm going to hand my paper in late.
New York, right?
Well, when I went to class,
mean, at the new school, they would be fine.
It was Susan Cheever, John Cheever's daughter, and I told her, and she was like, Ian, I absolutely would have accepted that as an excuse. Like, you should have emailed me and you should have said yes. And I was like, motherfucker, because as all of my actor friends have told me, you are SAG eligible if you are a dead body, because then they use your face so much. Like, you don't need to be there that often, but they use the photo of you a lot throughout the episode, so that always counts for enough screen time. I'm always like,
that's incredible.
That would have been funny if I was in SAG and not really a fucking actor, but I could do dead bodies or like background shit. And yeah, I always like hate that my professor was like, "Oh, absolutely, you should have done that." And I'm like, "Why didn't I just like I should have just emailed her to be like, hey, is this okay?" And she said, "No." Then I go to
New
class.
school,
But
new school professors get it. I told Dale Peck something like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I couldn't make it to class today because I needed like Invisalign or something like that." He was here like, "That's fine, whatever."
Dayspring and I graduated.
And
We
they
didn't
was like
know
through a
each
Facebook
other,
thing.
but we graduated from the same MFA program at New School in New York.
Yeah.
This is when Cordelia says there are already websites asking for money for the baby. Colin? I feel like you, maybe Dayspring, the two of you seem to know Angel better than I. Do we kind of drop there's a bunch of other people looking for the baby after this episode?
Literally, yeah.
Okay, I thought
done.
so.
Well, that's a utility for this episode. They're trying to just
like
close
clean out.
that. There.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, Colin.
No.
Oh, no, I was
Sorry,
going to say,
Zaddy, I interrupted you.
it's literally at the end of the episode when he makes Lynn with the Godfather that cuts it off.
I don't mind.
It will never come up again.
Yeah, I don't mind the like idea of like, oh, there's so many demon groups looking after this baby and Frank and these biker gangs. Like, I liked that, and I feel like it kind of ups the like urgency of the storyline, but I kind of don't like that we drop it because it's like they mention in passing the vampire cult that we see in the Quickening and never see again. And it's like, that feels like that should be a bigger deal. Like a vampire cult that worships this baby, right?
Yeah. They tied it up so neatly in this, and I agree that if their websites, by the way, I love that. They're like, we have websites popping up on the Google, and well, Google didn't even exist here. Like on the internet. I was like, man, they know online trolls. Like Angel was so ahead of its time. Like this is exactly what would happen now. This baby would have fan pages on Instagram. Me and Ian would have we'd be Instagramming news on this baby.
What? Doing collab posts.
Or like demonic baby.
Demonic baby is Brat.
Yeah, demonic baby is Brad. Demonic baby has hot day.
Bratty summer with demonic baby, and we'll like Photoshop the Carrie Bradshaw in the green and like lime bathing suit at the Central Park place, and we'll put the demonic baby there.
She's holding it.
Yeah, so, instead of a KFC bucket.
I do like when Cordelia's like. I mean, she's right though. Like, you do need to bring a baby to the hospital event. Like, baby does need to get checked out. And like when she's like, "Are you gonna get circumcised?" And the baby starts crying, and Gunn's like, "I think I heard you."
Okay, but I think like Angel was being so melodramatic in that scene where he's here, like he sticks out his hand, shaking. He's like, "I'll get him to the hospital if he needs to." I'm like, just call a cab or send like Gunn or Cordelia. Like
they literally travel everywhere through the city in the sewers every other episode.
Yes, like you just put a cloak over yourself and drive your car. That's it. You're fine.
And it only affects you.
Spike does it.
I was gonna say it only affects you if you're a non-main character vampire. Like otherwise, it's fine. Like, I don't. Yeah, until the end of the episode, I was like, Angel's really pissing me off this episode, and then I was like, oh, okay. At some point, he did relent and like realize he needed to chill.
Well, for most of the episode, it is him being a dick,
right?
And it's after they come in from that conversation when Lauren slips him the note.
Yeah.
And that's when it switches. Yeah.
Because I did get annoyed that he didn't even listen to her when she's like, "And what will you do?" And he's like, "I'll get there." And like you said, Dayspring, he's being so melodramatic because he's like, "Well, maybe I'll die, but my baby will get there." Well, and it's like, well, that seems like extreme, right?
Well, you want to hit those melodramatic cues. I get it. But I really wish maybe they would have leaned into like, oh my God, I'm going to raise this child. He's not going to have a mother. You know, how am I going to explain what happened to Darla? And I just think there was some emotional, like Darla's forgotten about. Like that's it.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like that contract ran up, and they're like, Julie Beth, there's a door. Goodbye.
Don't even mention her. It's fine. She's gone.
Can I ask you guys? I'm curious about this. The scene where the baby can't stop crying, and he puts on the vampire face, and then the baby like becomes somber. What do we think? The reasoning for that was from a writing, directing, character. Like, do we think it was foreshadowing that he's evil? Was it supposed to be the audience questioning it? Was it Angel being vulnerable and his real self to his son that made him? I'm curious about the mechanics of that moment.
I think it was the
It's
last.
haunted me for like 20 years.
I think it's the last thing you just said. I think it's supposed to be he's so worried about like, oh, like he's like hunched over the baby holding it most of the episode that I think it's like showing like he's letting himself be a little vulnerable, and that is making the baby chill out. Like he's immediately being like, maybe this will work, and that's himself, right? Like he's being himself.
Because Lauren even says like your anxiety is like infecting everyone around.
Yeah. So I do think it's supposed to be like, all right, look, he chilled out, and immediately that did help the baby calm down, because I feel like that is a kind of thing, right? Like babies kind of like vibe off your vibe, and if like,
bitch, I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I ain't around.
Every time there's a newborn baby, I'm like, I'll see it when it's 21. Goodbye.
I'm like, here's a gift, I'm sending it.
Yeah, so I know what you're saying. Like, demonic baby is like, chill. It's bratty summer, dad. Let's just get some martinis. Like, I get it. Demonic baby's having a moment.
By the time this episode airs, all of this lingo is going to be so dated. Episodes are going on for 2 months.
How can anyone forget about bratty summer here in New York?
I literally
Kamala is brat.
I literally just this morning, and so this article would have gone out 2 months ago. This morning was interviewed by the Washington Post to talk about the Kamala is brat meme.
Yep. Amazing.
So hilariously, I was like, oh God, is she gonna like hang up on me when I say I'm 41, even though she has to interview me? So did we already talk about Files and Records?
Briefly.
We talked about, it's Flo.
She's a legend.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years later, she would have her own webisodes in the Battlestar Galactica Lost era.
It is a nice, joke of like, no, Angel's fine. Because Lila goes looking for the files on Angel just so she can figure out who Holtz is or who this guy is. And I did like that exchange ended with Flo being like, no, they're the first 35 cabinets. I wish you would have said, though, no, you're standing in Angel's file. Yeah. Like all of
I was thinking that was going to be. I thought that was going to be it.
That's a smoother joke, and it's basically the same joke because like the lights go on and it just like, but Titan.
Yeah.
Well, how would Lila not know as like an SVP that this person in front of her is like magically imbued with all the knowledge?
Maybe Lila only sends like paralegals or something.
Probably, and it's like this woman's the help, she's below, so like I don't need to know.
So she's like, I would never talk to her.
And she's like, you could have just told me everything that's in these files. Why am I sitting here?
Yeah,
you're right, Brett. I feel like the interns, like if she had asked one of them, they would have known, because it's like she sends them to do that shit.
That's fair.
Yeah. God, we already mostly talked about this. We talked about Holtz, fucking stupid, whatever. There is a moment after what we know retroactively is when like the thing gets slipped into Angel's pocket. Fred is writing on a blackboard. They walk up and Lauren makes a joke about he slept like a baby. He even wet the bed. And Angel turns around. Did you see this, Colin?
No, Angel turns like that joke when he's like, oh, tough room.
Yeah, no one laughs. Angel turns around and David Boreanaz is very clearly holding a plastic baby doll. And I could not believe that scene was kept, because he looks right at the camera holding the baby like face towards the camera. And it is a plastic doll with its arms like...
I did not notice that.
I even like went back. I skipped back and I was like, wait a minute, let me make sure. Yep, that is a plastic doll he is holding that is not even like at the bottom of the screen. It's in the middle of the screen. I bet we'll probably
how amazing would that be? Yeah, it's so clearly plastic, but how amazing would that be if it's just Angel holding a plastic doll and everyone has to pretend it's a real baby? Like,
every episode.
Darla swallowed a big plastic doll, and that was...
She just had a plastic doll he stuck in her belly, that's all.
Angel just had a meltdown. After Buffy's death, he just had a meltdown, and he like fabricated a baby. Like,
I mean, that would have been.
It really is Pretty Girl Summer. Yeah, I know.
The bikers and the vamps are all outside. Wes says they need to retreat, and Angel says he's leaving with the baby. And this made me so angry. And when Gunn is like, "Oh, you're gonna fire us first?" I was like, "Yeah, you motherfucker! Like, you're abandoning them all. I'm so mad at you. Cordelia is definitely more important than this baby."
Wait, where did they all get in on this plan? Did they all go to the janitor, the lock, the whatever?
I guess that's
they
true.
Must have gone one by one, or like maybe outside or something. who knows?
Because they all go along with, or maybe only Angel and Lorne know, and everyone else is having real reactions. I mean,
but I agree. I feel this is where the writing is lazy, right?
Well, no,
like there's no context
because the baby is left hidden away somewhere. I guess maybe in that kennel that they originally had for him.
Put it to use.
That kennel, Jesus Christ.
Well, it could have been like Lauren in the note. We didn't could have been like, hey man, this entire place is bugged by Wolfheart. Leave the baby in here and act like you're gonna leave. I will bet, and then everyone else will just react. And
maybe more, because I'm trying to think like when the demons finally do come in. I know the 4 investigation team are there. Is Lauren with them there? Maybe he has the baby somewhere.
I mean, mostly it's just Wesley setting people on fire.
I did make a note about that of like, for all of the like hype and everything of all of these people are going to break in here and then we're going to be screwed and like we'll, like Cordelia says, like our dead bodies will slow them down as they trip.
Yeah.
Wesley fires off 2 blasts of a flamethrower and they're all dead.
Like, right? That was pretty easy. Like, but I do like that the flamethrower is something they have. Like, we have seen it before, and we will see it again. Yeah.
Well, and I like it. It's off camera too, and then the flame comes like that's so fun.
When I think of the flamethrower, I think of Hole in the World, Fred holding screen. I love that moment.
Yes,
I do appreciate when Gavin's like, "We'll bring back the baby, dead or alive," and Lila's like, "We're bringing it back alive so we can dissect it."
Gavin. They're like, it's a plastic baby. This bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
right. That car chase also seemed pretty long. I mean, I guess if like you're doing a car chase, you want to get your money's worth. But I was like, all right. This is
my question, because I did recall that this was like all an act. After Lauren mentioned hearing the buzzing, I was like, oh, right. He picks up on that. There's cameras here. Was there cameras in the car, or
I don't
think so. Did Angel bring the real baby with him? Because he's like chatting with...
No, because they have the baby at the hospital, and then Angel shows up at the hospital.
Right, so why is he chatting with the teddy bear?
Yeah, that is weird. He is just talking to the... So, is he doing it for a camera, or maybe he does think that the car might be
Maybe he thinks there's something in the car,
Or like, is just anxious and doing a bit for his own.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. So we learned that they're like everyone was in on the bait and switch. I do think it's cute. Well, before Wolfram and Hart then realizes that this is when it happened, and they rewatch. I do think it's cute.
Real quick, just when Wolfram and Hart finds out, when they're like, "Oh, who knew Angel had such acting chops?" Just because my first episode on Slayerfest was for season 3 of Buffy's Enemies, when Faith is trying to trick them, and she's like, "I'm the best actor," and he's like, "You're the second best actor." He was pretending to be Angelus during the episode. I was like, we knew that Angel was a good actor.
That is true. I think we even said that seemed uncharacteristic, but but also I was thinking of what I thought of. Your example's better than mine. What I thought of was in season 1, when season 1 of Angel, when Angel suddenly has the Hawaiian shirt and silly hat disguise in his car and is like doing a I forget what he says his name is. It's like Earl.
He was
something.
Visiting from like out east or something like that.
And I was like, I mean, he did a long bit for that. He even had a costume change. But I do think all of them at the hospital is very cute. I like when it's Angel especially does not get a lot of moments where it's like everyone's together and it's just nice. Like usually it's and
a shot of all them walking, Gun coming in with like the best stroller, no money could buy or whatever. Like it was very nice. It was a very nice family moment. That ain't gonna last long.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's cute when Fred is like,
it's not.
"Oh, we said your name was Geraldo Angel," because like they
she gives
first
like
name.
Entire history, and she's like, "We didn't tell the doctors that. That's just me."
Yeah, I like all of that, and like you said, I like the like power walk they do feels almost like, and it might have been on purpose too, like a parody of the like power walk Buffy and Angel always has them do in their seasons, like credits. And I like that it's like, but there's a stroller. Like he's still like pushing a little stroller.
And that could have been the new status quo of the show. Like,
yes,
we could have just had this fucking baby around for another 2 years.
I will say, I hate a baby plot, but technically we do have him around for the rest of the show. But I do like the dynamic of this, which is a little different, especially a supernatural show where they love supernatural pregnancy. Usually it is not the dad that is left with the baby. Usually it is like all the mother's like problem and burden. So I do like the idea of like it being the man who is a vampire who has to deal with like new dad shit, new parent shit. Just because that's not the norm. But again, I still don't love a baby plot because there's only so much you can do. Like send the baby to a hell dimension, have him come back 16 years older. But
and that's such a soap opera trope, literary trope. Send the baby because it's not interesting because it goes from like prop to character, but you need to like let it incubate. And we see that with X-Men with Cable when Bebe
and Ileana.
And
Ileana goes from
exactly.
5-year-old to a brat. Queen brat.
She has a brat summer. She has a brat hell dimension summer. Colin, do you know what reference I'm going to? What other thing I'm going to reference that talks about this?
What, babies?
The Magicians. There is literally a scene where Elliot and Margot talk about this plot trope being used on Angel because the character Elliot gets the character pregnant. He's gay, but he to be king, he has to have sex. Spoilers for anyone who's listening to our Magicians coverage and is only watching it as we cover it. He has to have sex with someone and they have to have a baby. That baby gets taken away, and next season we meet it as more of like a 20-year-old. And they joke about how it's such an overused trope. And they mention Angel. Like he goes, Twilight, Angel, Buffy. And then that's when Margot says, actually on Buffy's sister was never a baby. She just appeared out of nowhere as a fully grown teenager. And I love that. It's like one of my favorite interactions on the show because I love that she corrects him. Like, yeah, it happened on Angel, but Buffy, that's not how it happened because Dawn was never a baby and she wasn't. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking of when you were all saying that. Yeah, I guess we're at the end here.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good switcheroo, switching out the baby for a bomb. He basically drives off, gets the monsters to a generic construction site, and
I guess we're supposed to assume that is like all of them that are after them are all in that spot.
I think anyone that Wesley didn't burn is there, and then before he goes to the hospital, he goes to Wolfram Hart, which their vampire detectors, they only kick in after he's in the boardroom.
They're terrible.
And he's in there all the time. So
he was just there 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. But that's when he threatens Linwood and is like, anything that happens to my child will happen to you. Because he cuts him on the cheek and was like, my baby got a cut. Now you have a cut.
Also, I will say, I thought the joke, but it was definitely not. When I think Lauren is the one that realizes that when he's like, oh, the baby has a cut. And Angel's like, oh, I got it. And Cordy brings over the ointment or whatever. And she goes, yeah, it happened when we were leaving the alley. I was like, is she just like she dropped the baby? I thought that was going to be well, we were Scooby-Dooing away and I kind of slipped and fell and dropped the baby.
To be fair, the baby was born by being dropped into a pile of its mother's dust. So
yeah, that's on the concrete.
Who knows what's
a mistake on the way,
Yeah.
True.
But I do.
That baby needs to be durable.
Real quick back to that scene when he's trying to put the cream on. It's like, why is the baby crying? And she says, you don't have a woman's touch, despite what your clothing might say.
I was like, do I like this or is this a little homophobic? I don't know.
And also, was Angel's clothing gay by 2001
Well,
standard?
yeah, I guess. But I liked it just for the callback to when he had his body switch. And the guy thinks that he's gay because he's like, well, look at me, obviously I'm gay.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right, because the old man does assume he's gay, because it's like, well, I'm wearing leather pants, and there's someone named Fred that I'm supposed to have a conversation with. All right, well, now that we're at the end, what was your favorite scene, Brett?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know if I have one. Oh no, I'll say I did like Wesley and Gunn trading movie references of who they were inspired by during the fight and giving a high five, because that is a friendship that I do like.
I do like when they bro out together a little.
Yeah.
I do like their bromance.
Colin, what's your favorite scene?
That was actually going to be mine. So I'll just say Justine and Holt's meeting. I just want to see everyone's reaction. It was going to be Wes and Gunn having their little high five moment.
Dayspring?
I loved it when Lila was like, order me China Palace. I'm going to go through all these files. I think that scene in the archives, that's gold. This is why we love this world building
Well,
that
Dayspring,
they do.
I have the same exact
Is it?
favorite scene. That's my.
Yes.
She really should have popped up more. I think that's like a fun thing
Yeah.
to have this
Yeah.
like person who does know everything, like this person that works the files and records department, but also just is the like. I think that's
Yeah.
like a fun bit.
Yeah.
I feel
Also,
like
an
she would've been
example
really
of the
useful in
casting
season
team
5.
knowing what's up
Yes,
ahead of
'cause
time.
She's
Yeah.
well
Because then she
cast.
becomes a spokeswoman who's still working today.
Yeah, which is wild to
Yeah.
think about.
20-year gig or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
most mascot actors tend to filter out after like a few
5?
years. Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right?
but this
Like,
it's wild. It's got to be a
she's-
record.
she's been like consistent too, right? I don't think it was
Yeah.
like, oh, she went away for 10 years and
No,
then we
no.
brought her back.
They bring
Yeah.
in like guest reps and stuff, but she's always there.
Yeah, which is wild. Huh. That
I'm
must be
so
nice.
Wait, it actually is Flo? I didn't actually clock that it really
Oh,
was
yeah, it's
Flo.
that actress,
I thought
yeah.
you guys were just being mean. I thought you guys were just being mean.
It's literally her.
I'm like so shocked here. I'm like on Lila, the actress's like website, getting her contact information to send it to you, Ian. And like I'm like, wait a minute, was that really Flo? And it is. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I couldn't think of anything else I've ever seen her in except for this. And she's good in it. I like her. She's like good as the character.
She was great.
And she's good opposite Lila too, because
Yeah.
she's like so straightforward, but also like kind of annoying Lila. Like I think that works really well.
Wait, can I tell you what it reminds me so much of too? Why I think I liked it too? Do you know another scene of someone going to an archive? Scream
shit.
3. When they're like, "Are you?" And she's here like, "No," and it's Carrie Fisher,
He's
but
like, "You
she
want me to
knows
tell you who you
everything
look
there.
like?"
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. So I love these like high-powered, bitchy women like fucking Courtney
Look
Cox
great.
coming in, looking. And they can't do the archive, but they'll do it if they have to. Like I love that. I love the setup. It's a trope we need. Fuck that baby going off to college or hell dimension
Yeah.
trope. We need powerful women in the archives ordering Chinese. That's what we need.
God, if Courtney Cox and Carrie Fisher and Parker Posey had like ordered Chinese and just like fucking like gossiped at that desk together, I would have been in heaven. I would have loved it. Give me a scene of that. What is your favorite outfit, Colin?
Oh God, I didn't think of this when I was watching. So just to troll everyone, I'm going to give it to Faith Light, Justine's leather ensemble, to show that she's a badass.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw tomatoes at you. Brett, I'm curious if we have the same one this time. We might.
Oh no, I mean I liked Fred's denim jacket. And I was like, oh, that's a nice. I mean, it's kind of an unremarkable fashion wise. I mean, last
Dayspring?
time I said Holtz's like cloak,
You
so
did.
at
That
least
is
this
true.
is
Yeah.
He's wearing it again this episode. You can
Yeah,
see
man, it's all he's got.
Yeah, it's his one jacket. Dayspring, what was your favorite outfit?
I'm thinking I like Classic Angel. I like him in the black long sleeve. That to me is so chic. It's always going to represent like Y2K men's fashion.
Yeah.
David Boreanaz. I loved him when he was on Teen Vogue, so that's where I'm at. But I will say, I think, listen, I'm going to piggyback off of Zaddy here, which is Justine does. Listen, in fairness, the wardrobe department got those notes for Kate, and they're like,
Yep.
okay, we're just going to dress her as Kate.
It's
Yeah.
weird. She had the police badge on.
They're like, don't change it. Same thing.
Let's just keep it there. But I do think Justine did pop from a wardrobe perspective.
All right. Brett, I really thought that you were going to feel, I still agree with you. Lauren's fits are not great, but I like the colors that he's wearing. I like
The blue?
the like, there's like a turquoisey blue with like a like light purple.
It looks
And
really
with his-
good with his skin.
I was just about to say, with his like mint green skin color, it like works really well. And they put him in that type of color scheme a lot. Like not that exact outfit, but like in the Halloween episode in season 5, those are the same colors he wears. And I just like those colors on. It's weird to say like, oh, his green skin goes so nicely with this purple suit, but it does. So yeah, that's my favorite. What grade do we give this episode, Dayspring?
B+. B+. And I think for me, it's a camaraderie we see from Angel Investigations. They're finally coming back together after being separated. Can I tell you something? I think this is going to be really controversial.
Uh-oh.
I actually feel the bond more between the Angel team than I do the Scoobies. And it could be an actor thing. I think the actors are just a little older.
Well,
Maybe they're doing. I don't know.
I mean, also
so
like
I know I'm being controversial there.
I feel like both seasons 4 and season 6 are kind of devoted to these people don't like each other a lot. Like they keep getting pulled away,
setting up the gang. Yeah.
Okay,
I think this team has been through it, and I think they bond, and I like it. I'm going to cite Angel and Cordelia. That rapport right there. No, I feel it.
I do love that. Like, I do agree with you that the Angel Cordelia bond is maybe one of the most earned bonds in either series, because they came from the other show, bonded more. Like, they weren't close, but they did, like, we can't pretend they didn't know each other, right? They still knew each other. They still, like, he saved her sometimes. You know, on Halloween, they had to work together. They were the only ones that had their memories. So it's like, they were friendly. She thought he was hot. And then they like bond more. And I do think it is one of the most earned bonds, where it's not just like Buffy, Willow, and Xander, I do love. And I think Giles and Buffy's relationship is beautiful. But this feels more earned only because it's like they started out as like a nothing relationship and spent 3 seasons on a show together where, like, yeah, they know each other. And then we spent 3 more seasons of them getting closer. And I just, Cordelia in general is like not the type of development we get to see on TV, just for the fact that, like, it's across 2 shows, which is like not the ordinary. But
and they're not afraid to have showed her been nasty and grow. I'm sorry, cut you off.
But I was also going to say, too, what you just said, Dayspring, I know I'm going to answer the comments of, but Angel did hate them in season 2. He did go through a period where, like, he hated them.
To be fair, though, that's when, like, Wes, Gunn, and Cordy really
bond. Yeah, that is when they bond. Like, we see them drunk at the bar together doing karaoke. I don't agree with the take, but I like it. We love a different hot take here.
I agree. It's not for everyone. I'm just saying, and I've talked about this with you. Angel, just where I was at in my teenage years when I was watching it happen, I was developing a little bit more analytically. I wanted darker stories, and not that Buffy wasn't dark, but Angel was a bit more noir and gritty. And so I have a biasness I lean towards there.
That's fair. Colin, what grade do you give the episode?
I'd give it a solid B. I think it, you know, it does everything it wants to do. It sets up a lot of good stuff for the rest of the season.
Brett?
C+. Curse of Justine.
I am also a C+, Brett.
You know what? I can't argue with that. That Justine really does bring this down.
Like, stops the episode dead when she is on screen. And
it's awkward. I mean,
poor Justine. She lost her sister, and you guys are just ragging on her nonstop.
God, why didn't the vampire get both of them? But I think Brett encapsulated it best. It does feel like you're watching a USA crime drama.
Yeah.
Like, it was Channel 18 for me growing up. Yep. It's Channel 18 drama. It's not good.
Yeah, I think, like what you guys said earlier, it's like, if Justine had been more in line with a Sajan type character, it wouldn't have stopped the episode dead so much. But it's like, there's no humor. It's fully serious. It really does sometimes feel like it's like a different show. Like, I feel like it feels like a parody of Buffy. And I don't understand why they tried to do any parallels. Like, because it doesn't go anywhere at all, right? Like,
well, the Wesley stuff.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, yeah, a C+ for me as well. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch our video recordings, because we are all now video recordings on YouTube. You should subscribe to us. Give us a good rating, please. You can support us on Patreon, where we're going through X-Men the Animated Series and Batman the Animated Series. We've gone through Firefly, Harley Quinn, and a bunch of other stuff. Any and all support is much appreciated. If you want to find us on social, we are at SlayerFestX98. If you want to follow me, I am at ENXCarlos across all platforms. Colin, where can everyone find you?
I'm on various socials at csmith03.
And Brett, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Brett White. You can also follow my drag exploits as Barb Hardley on YouTube and Instagram, and at Barb Hardley. And my sitcom podcast, Must Have Seen TV. Yeah, that's a lot.
And stellar drag content, by the way, from Barb/Brett. Dayspring, where can everyone find you?
Wait, I want to say I love Barb so much, and Brett's articles, especially on X-Men 97. Everyone needs to go check them out. Like, Brett, you have an eagle eye. Like, I think I'm a neurotic person. You grab every little detail. So everyone has to stop what they're doing and go read Brett's articles and check out his content. We're at Power of X-Men on Instagram. It's usually just me drunk and ranting or screaming Robin Lively. Not even Blake Lively. Like, Blake Lively's there. I'm like, Blake, that's cute. I want your older sister, Robin. Come.
Oh, is that her sister? I didn't realize that was also
Yes.
Yes.
How did you? What is wrong with you? Anyways, we're predominantly Instagram, and then our podcast. We do get really great interviews and guests. Do not come for me, go for them, because a lot of people give us their time, and I'm very proud of the stories we collect. So it's Power of X-Men on all podcast platforms, sometimes on YouTube, depending on my mood.
Depends. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.